So late change for the Saints. Shane Savage comes in for his first game. He played 22 games last year, his first game for the season. He replaces Seb Ross, who has a little bit of an injury, and they obviously taking no chances at the moment with so much footy to be played. Well, Paddy Ryder back into the team in the last couple of weeks, and particularly last week, gave them a huge advantage. And the good news is that Todd Marshall also kicked goals.
Well, they're in the top 2 or 3 in the competition for creating scores from forward half clearances, and a lot of that is to do with this ruck combination of Ryder and Marshall.
And no, he's not goalkeeper Dane Rampy. He had some surgery during the week on a broken bone in his hand, and he is going to play. It's a terrific performance to get up and lead his team. He was outstanding last week in defence as they beat the Hawks. So the Saints and the Swans ready for battle at the Gabba. And we are underway, and Ryder sending the message to Callum Sinclair. He was up and servicing Gresham and getting it deep, and it might be a free kick to Marshall straight away.
Well, that's just the way the Swans didn't want to start this. Callum Sinclair's got one job, and that is just to neutralise, and everybody else has just got to rove to the big man, Paddy Ryder. Now, that doesn't mean you're trying to intercept the ball, but you're just trying to neutralise it.
How do you neutralise the jump of Ryder?
You don't. You neutralise that clearance by neutralising the receivers.
So, as we said, the great news for St Kilda is the ruckman, both of them last week, able to get forward and kick goals. 6 goals, 1 for the season for Rowan Marshall. Everything perfect about the start except that kick.
What you may do if you're Sinclair, Kingy, is not provide a step ladder. Don't go in, don't engage, play a few tricks, but it's up to the ground level players to be sweating on those receivers.
Yeah, the Hawks were pretty good against the Swans last week as far as the clearances, particularly around the ground. So the Swans able to edge it forward towards McCartan. Battle there against Carlisle. Blakey did well despite sliding forward. And of course, Zach Jones against his old team. Out to Billings, and they start to get moving, the Saints, although that was a bit of a nowhere handball. And Mills, who had his most minutes in the midfield ever last week for the Swans. It's going to come back, I think. Yes, it will, to Luke Parker. It's a big weight he carries now as their experienced midfielder, isn't it, Luke Parker?
Well, he's been up to the task for many, many years. He's been a super player for Sydney, a champion of that football club, a great inside mid. He's usually been riding roughshod with Kennedy, but today and for the last couple of weeks he's by himself.
Carlton made a contest, as you saw. Billings working in with Steele and Carlisle. They just stay ahead of the game nicely. Billings wobbles one back, but Swans have got good numbers there. Although good fight from Max King. And the former Swan Jones gets involved, and it's worked over the boundary line and out of bounds. So this is before the bounce.
Callum, Paddy. Callum, I'm watching.
Wonder what Max King, how he's going to test out Dane Rampy. What do you think of that matchup, by the way, boys?
Well, I think Rampy just takes the deepest defender, so that was the likely one.
Darting quickly, Gresham. Cunningham out of position, but he got good help from Lloyd, who dominated with possession last week. Gee, Marshall had a lot of time at ground level. That will disappoint. Sinclair's worked his way back into the team. Geary to Steele. And they've blown an opportunity here, the Saints. They're giving a lot of luxury of space there.
Now, this is where they're dangerous. Forward of centre stoppages. The ruck advantage of Marshall against probably a defender.
Sinclair actually got down there and did the ruck work, so they're aware of the danger. Billings gets it up. Well, Membry was ready and waiting, but it never arrived, so the Swans are able to work their way out of defence. Fox found Papley, and his kick was aggressive through the middle. We'll talk about that in a moment. Hills come off second best, crunched in the hip. It appears from an early sight. Rampy made his path to the footy, had the back up from Lloyd, but the Saints through King, out to Sinclair, left foot kick to the goal square, and Gresham got away. No one near him, and the Saints still get the first.
Well, if you turn the ball over in the front half, you are in all sorts of trouble. Jade Gresham just anticipated that. Clearly, Hill was involved, but the Swans would be ruining this. There's a big leap from Brad Hill, who went down hard on that hip bone.
Started the mesh in the absolute middle of the ground, Gresham. You've just got to be smarter than that. If you're a Swans midfielder, you've got to keep your eye on where he's going. He's a player who loves to get forward of the ball. You can see Rampy was tracking back towards him, but got drawn back to the play, left him all alone, top of the goal square.
Yeah, I think the pressure around the ball right now would be disappointing. John Longmire's been a couple of missed tackles, a couple of guys just spectating, and I mean this pressure just not good enough, and Steele just set that up beautifully.
Joe Gresham, 4 goals, 6 for the season. Now 5 goals, 6. We know that the Saints' accuracy this year has been fantastic. A huge contrast to previous years. Al Stillinge will keep an eye on Brad Hill. We'll give it an update. Hopefully he's okay. Sinclair wins the tap that time, but after initial Saints hands, it is the Swans able to get it forward. Caulfield sliding in to take them up. Another of the improving young Saints defenders. Taking it wide. Howard's kick hits the mark down the line.
Kingy is an All-Australian half-back. How have you seen the development of Caulfield?
Been fantastic, Jared.
Oh, kicks it forward. King couldn't quite. Here's Geary. And Parker. In his second game for the season. Firing shot for goal. Misses.
He's been an intercept mark as well as that overlap defender, if you like, that third man up assist player. I think it's a great sign for a young player to have that confidence. No doubt Brett Ratton said to him, just back yourself in. We'll wear some mistakes. Been a great start to the season.
I've enjoyed this guy's form this season as well. Back in the side, Bell.
Yeah, just saw him for a couple of games last year.
Yep.
And in for his second so far this season.
Local product, which is unusual. McCartan's another one who's improved. Doesn't get big possessions, but just looking like he's developing into the body.
Kicking a goal a game. As you said, not a high possession player. Averages 7 disposals, but certainly can take a mark. Jones feeds it back for Billings, and the Saints on the move again. Butler trying to take it on his chest, denied by Ling, another young Sydney player who made his debut last week. Number 19, Matty Ling. There's Fox digging it out. Hayward slams it on the boot, so they're going to get to half forward at least. McCartan stood the ground. The fist came from Howard. Rowbottom had a run up, but just couldn't take the footy with him. Now he's dived on it. And well, the umpire gave him time to get it out. Bell could be in trouble. That time he is.
Well, an opportunity missed there by Rowbottom, but he's another one of the Swans' young players in his second year now who's really developing and showing some good signs in this part of the season.
So Shane Savage, as we mentioned, a late inclusion for Seb Ross for the Saints. Sets them up by driving wide. Clark just poked it forward. Oh, Caulfield left it behind. An opening for Sam Reid. The hands were slick. Well, let's see if this can get things started. It can for the Swans. Papley has won.
Well, he's got the radar absolutely in tune at the present time. He gets an opportunity. They go most of the time through the big sticks. And it was a pretty good turnover here. It was all about pressure. Sam Reid, smart handle, another smart handle just to the voice. And then it was a kick around the corner.
When you're in form, the ball follows you, Jared. Just an error there. You couldn't script that. You couldn't predict that. But he arrived at the absolute right time to finish it off.
He spoke emotionally earlier on today about the loss of a close friend during the week, and pays tribute there, the black armband. He's the first to 20 goals this season. He leads the Coleman. He kicked 4 goals too last week. So that's that dialogue is Mills and Jones there with the umpire, Jared. Or King.
Yeah, and that looks like a full tag. Mills going to Jones. He's got away to a good start, Jones. He's already had the 4 disposals.
I wonder, is it a full tag or just two old teammates going up against each other?
Well, certainly going head-to-head at the stoppage.
Still. Lloyd got the run around.
Jeez, he must have just dropped that.
Cunningham's going to get away with it.
The players are unbelievably skilled at in the tackle, grabbing an arm.
Rampy on the way out. blast the kick, but he got there quickly too to Hayward, so that opens up some possibilities. Strong lead across half forward. He ignored it initially. There it is there. Shunted forward, McCartney's going to get the free.
Interesting matchup there, Elijah Taylor.
Wow, that's
been picked up by Carlisle, and Carlisle has given a little bit too much elevation, and he's got the 50, so McCartan gets an opportunity.
He's a bit unlucky there.
I think so.
Got there very quickly.
It was a long throw that he had to give.
Well, he should have used the old Bart Cummings line, how high am I allowed to throw it?
Such a costly penalty, the 50-metre penalty, at that point of the ground. Jeez.
15 gone.
So, Tom McCartan, he's been good for a goal a game, 5 goals too in his 5 matches so far. A little bit back and a little bit forward in his short career so far. He's a very promising player for the Swans, and he delivers a goal, most importantly.
It's amazing in the development of youngsters. There's always a time where they go from being young boys to men. And this guy, I think, in the last month, King, at least from my eyes, he just looks as if he's now quite comfortable in and around the roles he's being played. I think they worked out pretty clearly he's not going to be a defender. There's the long throw in the air that has set them up with a penalty, a 50-metre penalty. It was pretty harsh, but it was pretty high.
So fair or not, did you think, Jared, the 50?
Well, I thought that the umpire was a bit harsh, to be honest.
Cost them the full price. Tom McCartan certainly not complaining.
I mean, you are supposed to go directly back, but it wasn't far off direct. What an amazing story in football Tom Papley is. 3 years ago, Kingy, I think you named him the forward pocket plumber.
That's right.
And he was an in-and-out player. Only got on the list at the last moment. Now he's a genuine superstar.
So Lear didn't even fly at that centre bounce. It could cost them because the Saints got the clearance. Lear gets in. And
I don't think it's a bad thing, though, Hudder. You don't want to necessarily give Paddy Ryder absolutely the same look, or Marshall every time.
Ryder, the clean tap that time to Battle, who worked his way to Savage towards full forward, and Marshall stayed standing. He was able to put the tackle on. Hayward, his hand pass intercepted by King. He ran it down well. Hill couldn't get going. Florent comes in for a bit of combat, and then Rampy escorts it over and out.
So I think there's an opportunity there, Kingy, for Aliir to actually impose himself. He was just running alongside King rather than using that big body and, you know, basically putting some heat on him physically.
Sydney Swans have used 35 players in the first 8 rounds, the equal most with the Bulldogs of anyone in the AFL. And they found an awkward hand pass. Patton couldn't take it. There's Elijah Taylor. Handball to Ryan Clark, straight away into the tackle of Sinclair. And Gresham joins the tackling party.
It's a pretty clever hit out there by Aliir, and I wouldn't be surprised, Kingy, if this was his best spot full-time as a ruckman. He may have to go forward ruck. I don't think I'd have him as a defensive ruck, but I like him in the ruck.
194 centimetres, Jared. It's small to be a ruckman. I know he's very athletic.
This is where the alert's got to go off. If you're a Sydney Swans defender or a midfielder, Paddy Ryder, he's got tricks with the hit-out zones where he's likely to drop this. You'll see Gresham, you'll see Sinclair on the fly.
Yeah, we saw some beauties last week, didn't we? Gone back this time. Hill, that time to consider. Kicks it deep. King, Marshall both flew for the same footy. Marshall able to get the handball up, and then King closed out. They're looking for a hold in the ball, and they don't get it.
Yeah, Aliir played at full forward a couple of weeks ago and gave them a target. It was a surprise move. It was a move that paid off. He kicked a couple.
Marshall again. The handball out, but Hayward has been pretty solid so far. In fact, that is disposal number 5.
What do you think of his move to the back line, Kingy?
Really like it, Jared.
Yeah.
They're just struggling to find volume of possession across half forward, so they switched Dawson and Hayward over. Just need to get control of the ball here for a couple of moments here, the Swans. Just settle things down a bit.
Yeah, they lead by 4 points, but Saints have certainly had more of the play. Kick to half forward, Reid got hands on. There's Papley again, crashing through the pack as Jones bowls robot him over. Parker loves that sort of footy. Hill thrusting hard the other way. Mills at ground level and Ryder tackled immediately. It's a rush kick forward from Gray. Top of the square is where the action is. Saints just defending for the moment, buying themselves a bit of time. Louis Taylor. Hand pass and stepping through was Ling. And puts it on the chest of Sam Reid.
Nice move by Ling. Good step, wasn't it?
Yep.
That's a player who's got some moves, got some wheels.
It's an amazingly different side, though, the Sydney Swans. Just having the way they're moving the ball right now.
Off to the long kicking Dawson, who couldn't get settled to get enough on the kick. And the mark was missed down there. Taylor coming through after Wilkie couldn't take the mark. Patton. Oh, Papley's looking for a free. Clark, I wonder what he would have said about that. The umpire didn't blow the whistle, and now they're on the charge out of there. And look at the charge led by Butler. He goes to Torp, and the go chase message wasn't probably the right summation of the situation. They favoured Rampy, and the Swans can now take possession out of there. Here's Ling. Brings it back to Dawson. And then out the other side. Hayward. Up to half forward. Taylor takes the mark. Rajata settles on full forward as the destination for this one, and Blakey shows his athleticism and his marking prowess. And the Swans have the opportunity here to get a good little jump on the Saints.
Yeah, this is what we've been crying out for. Just let yourself go, Nick. Fly for your marks is what he did right through his under-18 campaign of 2, 3, 4 years ago. Look at that. That's a fantastic mark. One grab. Conversion's been a problem for him.
And getting one-out opportunities, though. The ball movement of the Swans, direct, fast, gives him an opportunity.
31% scoring accuracy, as you said. Kingy's a man without confidence in front of goal. 4 goals, 9 now for the season. Can't afford to miss those.
No, you can't. I mean, he's done all the hard work. The hardest thing to do in our game is get your hands on the ball, particularly in that spot there, top of the goal square. You must convert that.
Wilkie bounds off.
Good mark.
Nice take from Keane. The instant hand pass to Hill sets him on his way, and what a sight he is. The Saints in full motion now and getting it deep towards Battle. And again, the Swans defence standing up for now. Rampy wasn't quite sure how to get that over the line, but one-handed bandit was able to do it.
That's the next part of the St Kilda plan to come. Just that composure. Not every ball has to go deep to the goal square. They had options there.
Yeah.
They had time.
Could have hit up the short option there. Would have been a one-out.
Scott, ball to boot. That one's high and wide. It pitches just in front.
Yeah. He's paid it.
And he's paid it.
So Max King is clearly the obvious target. If he doesn't find a short, he can knock it to the top of the square. They've got the tools. Battle is also down there.
Wilkie. Big numbers again, flying Membry that time. Hine got it onto the left boot, and I tell you what, he's hit the spot. And he has a happy knack of popping up either off his own boot or helping somebody else put a goal through.
He's been a fine inclusion, has Hine, and they'd be absolutely thrilled with that. Everybody was just looking for the tools. Membry, King, you can see there, King getting a couple of people push on him. Alir had an opportunity. You've got to knock that over the top. You can't allow it to drop forward of the pack, and you can't allow that smothering opportunity to go astray. It cost a goal.
He's clever. He's a ground ball get player in the forward 50. Just needs a few half opportunities here to make things pay. Clearly, John Longmire not thrilled with the defensive effort there.
Dean Cox's evasion was outstanding then. He just knew the right time to get off the seat and check the stats at the back of the box.
Nick Hine wouldn't believe how much chaos he's caused in the Swans box.
I think he's had a bit of practice of knowing when to hold him and when to fold him, Dean Cox.
There's a couple of bad mistakes there by Swans players, which got the coach upset, but Hine was terrific roving and a good snap.
Still 5 to go in the opening term. Saints retake the lead. Florent sends Sydney forward. Papley was eyeing it off. Billings, that good run from behind, although Wilkie's kick was a wobbly one. It gets to its desired destination. Sinclair arched the back and got away. Links up with the hand, the run of Savage. This is what he can do at his best. He dashes off half-back, kicks them long. Alir read the incoming ball well. Takes the mark in front of back.
This has been the change to the Swans. They're looking for corridor. The last 5 or 6 years, they've just hugged boundary line with this ball here, but they'll try and create. They'll try and get the ball back into the heart of the ground if they can.
Number one side in the competition over the last month, Kingy, for going up the middle from defence.
Swans have got some targets up along the line. If they can win this possession, Saints working hard now to cover things. Road bottom. Deep to Reid. Caulfield had to read the play well. Tapley covered a lot of ground to get involved as well. Taylor, he was dynamic last week from the pocket at the other end. This couldn't be more sky high. Sinclair got the right of his life but couldn't take the mark. Tapley gets taken to ground. Again, there's no whistle. He argues with the umpire as the ball's back in motion. Road bottom. Parker upended and gone for holding the ball.
Played half a dozen half opportunities there. Great defence by St Kilda.
What do you think? Was there a free kick there or not quite?
I didn't think so. I didn't think he had any prior opportunity. I know he lifted the ball, was knocked out.
Butler. And now Marshall. A good time to assess. He just misses Gresham. And look at Rampy. Suddenly he's sending the Swans forward. Posting up nicely as Reid. Taylor's running back to the square. He's screaming for it, the youngster. He can run. He's got 3 Saints in the air. And it's crept out the back and away from Parker.
John Longmire will get to Tom Papley at quarter times. OK, you've had a couple of opportunities where a free kick may have been there. You've played for it twice. You haven't got it. Just go after the football. Just go after the ball. You've had a fantastic year. We'll back you in. If they take you high after that, well, so be it.
Wilkie's watching him now. You can see he's trying to burst through. Wilkie got it out of there for the time being at least. Keary. And then Jones. Alir versus Hine. And the player took a backward step. It was a good result for the Saints. Membry on the move. Had to wait until there was something ahead of him on the horizon. Butler was claimed, but did well not to give up the free kick. An interesting backwards handball, that one. He's let Gresham in. Could have all gone astray there for the Swans.
Well, keep your eye on Gresham. He's trying to get his eyes onto the ruckman now. And if it's Paddy Ryder making his way down there, his eyes will light up. King it's going to be.
Yeah.
She's a nice block in the ruck there.
Put it back for Steele. And now Hunter Clark intruding into the forward line with a sharp left foot that splits the middle perfectly.
Well, it's a great strength, St Kilda. Goals and scores from stoppages in the front half, and this one is another classic.
Well, number one the last 3 weeks. They're number one in the competition and by some margin, Jared. But there's confusion here. Swans ruckman gets there late, doesn't actually get there in the end. He just runs into the back of Parker. Good setup. Really good positioning from the St Kilda off-ball players. Not actually at the coalface of the clearance, but one received, 2 receives from. Great finish.
Hunter Clark's first score of the year as a goal. And the Saints have kicked a couple in a row and lead by 7.
And you can just see we've had 3 good looks, Lynchy, at just players just waltzing out the back in the middle of the ground. No coverage at all by the Swans in defence.
No, it was a real strength last week against Port Adelaide. They were 49 points from stoppages last week, and as you touched on, number 1 team to score from stoppages in the competition, so it's a massive asset. And when you've got ruckmen like Ryder and Marshall in the middle, it helps with that silver service to the elite midfield. And they weren't even in the ruck then. You've got a 202-centimetre full forward who can do it as well, as we saw. Now, Jones is slammed flying into the ground, but it's a free kick going to the former Swan. Zach Jones, quick play off to Hill. Straight lines for the Saints. Marshall!
Oh, this is a great battle. This is a fantastic battle at this stage. A really good pass to a great lead. Drew the free kick, drew the mark, whichever the umpire paid. But Rampy himself has been a good launch pad as well, setting up a lot of attacks from deep in defence.
So Rowan Marshall, as we said a little earlier, 6 goals won coming into this game. He's had one crack at it. Let's see if he can get a better strike this time. No, even worse, and you could see the look on his face straight away. Lucky to get it behind.
Great tall representation forward of centre. I think we talk a lot about having a point of difference in this game. So clearly the Saints load up with ruckman, but they need to be able to perform another function to survive. Ryder, Marshall, even King at full forward are still a threat to mark the ball.
Fox on the way out as an up and under sort of kick. Blakey might draw a free for it. Well, while they were busy scrapping, he does do that eventually, and Ling delivered into the middle. It wasn't far off being a nice kick to set them up, but the problem is the damage can come the other way, and it can come in a heartbeat. Heel deep, it's one-on-one in the air. Fox did his job. Mills in a tangle with Parker. Barely got a handball away, but the umpire says it's okay. So the Swans through the prolific Lloyd. And this man Rampier had so much of the footy between them last week. Send them on their way, and look at Bell. As soon as he took it, he was off charging along the wing. It's a scrappy kick. Patton, who's probably the Saints' best interceptor, not necessarily in the air, but on occasions just like you saw there. That's a limp kick from Clark. He'll be going in with extra desperation to try and win it back. Florent over the top. Sinclair, good aggression from Bell on the tackle, and it's a ball up at the end of all of that.
That's been the improvement for St Kilda. On counter-punch, they don't cough up scores. Over the last 2 weeks, they've coughed up 6 scores, which is very, very low.
Zach Jones, 6 disposals so far against his old team. There's an opportunity for Gray. Good courage from Patton. And 50.
Oh, it's a great mark. He knows what's coming there, Jared.
Yeah, no, it's a really brave mark. I don't think the Swans player could have pulled up too much, to be honest, in that circumstance, but he's got the 50.
He's got a place wrapped up at the moment in that St Kilda defence. Patton, he has them moving forward. Butler has been such a wonderful pickup for them this year. The siren sounds. An interesting quarter. Dean Cox has had his moments up there, just trying to keep out of the way of John Longmire. Both sides blowing up a couple of opportunities, but at the end of it, it's the Saints by 8 points. They've been one of the stories of the year so far. Are they on their way for a 6th victory as 3 big quarters of footy still to come?
Marshall, long bomb to the square. That's old-fashioned footy. Max King, Ryder, second attempt. Oh, he snuck it home, Paddy Ryder. Well, Marshall's become one of the Saints' most important players, and no problems there. There is Ryder with that athleticism and skill. Such a weapon.
Sometimes. Well, what a combination they've become. They were devastating last week. 4 goals between them, as well as dominating in the ruck. And although Rowan Marshall has missed a couple of shots for goal, he and Paddy Ryder have been influential yet again. It's 3-3-21 St Kilda. Sydney 2-1-13 Jared and Kingy.
10 possessions between the two, ruckman and Kingy. Problem for Paddy Ryder is that Marshall's had 9 of them.
But Paddy's work at clearance is exactly what you want. That's why they got him for that hit-out advantage, set them on their path with really proactive clearances. #1 scores from clearance team the last 3 to 4 weeks. This is why. Because they're all on the move. The Saints are hungry for the football. All 3 ground-level midfielders saying, this is my ball. Look at that. When there's a hold there on Gresham, if he gets a clear break there, he's off to the races. This is the perfect profile for these 2 ruckmen at the moment. 50-50 split on ball, resting forward. But when they go forward, Marshall's had 2 ground balls inside forward 50. Now that's a complete bonus. So he's not just limited to being a mark-only type player. So I think this is the quirk in the St Kilda makeup at the moment, Jared. It's working perfectly.
Oh, look, they're super talented. They're very different. You've got Membry down there, who used to be the go-to man. He's had 1 possession at the present time. He's probably 3rd in line as far as the tools are concerned. Hines come into the side. He's kicked a handy goal. They've got Gresham. They've got a lot of options to run through. through that particular area.
Let's get down to Alistair Lynch. Lindsay, what do you want to highlight for us?
Oh, thanks, Hutto. Yeah, and outside what St Kilda are doing with the ball, and I think I heard Jared and Kingy talk about during that first quarter, it's what they're doing behind the ball and when they haven't got it to get it back. Certainly in the tackles, they're plus 10 on tackles, and in the forward half, they're 13-3 as far as the forward half tackles are concerned as well. So what they're doing, they're moving really hard to put pressure on the ball carrier and cause a turnover. If they don't, they're very well set up behind the ball, and that's on the back of good pressure, good tackling pressure at the source.
Yeah, there's some of those numbers that Alistair Lynch was referring to there.
It's an interesting conundrum for John Longmire because at centre bounces you can't protect. You can't protect your back six. They're going to be vulnerable one-on-one. But with the around-the-ground clearance, I wonder at some point whether they have to hold a Rampy as a +1, a free behind the ball, just because St Kilda's their desire to get the ball deep to full forward at every occasion as quickly as possible, Jared. It might just play into the Swans' hands if they can hold an extra defender.
Well, there is Rampy up against Membry in the goal square. He just keeps on going to the deepest forward. And he's having another pretty good day. He's always going to be difficult when you're up against 3 or 4 rotational key forwards, but his direction with the ball from defence has been first class. There's young Patton up against Papley.
What a matchup.
And there is the glove. What an amazing performance to come back after a break. And this is an interesting matchup. They're not going head-to-head at this stage. Bro Bottom hasn't had much of the ball in that first term, but he's a big improver at this stage.
So second quarter from the Gabba. The Saints 6 scoring shots to 3 in the opening term. Inside 50 on 5 more occasions. Their lead is just 8, though. They're going to go forward again. Commanding performance from the ruckman. Gresham sends it forward. Dawson.
I think when you're getting absolutely flogged in the centre clearance hit-outs, you've just got to go behind your man and push everyone inside. So you've got coverage.
He goes straight down the middle again through Cunningham. Louis Taylor latches on to Carlisle, who knew he was under the pump to get rid of it. So it's there to be won. A nifty little handball from Reid. It was too hot for Taylor. Haywood now forward, chips it wide, and Louis got the legs going. He's got the mark.
He's a clever player, Haywood. He's a really smart decision maker. Would love you to get more of the football if you're a teammate of his, because he just makes good decisions.
So it's interesting if he's moved forward already, Haywood. It's not like the old days where the wind's blowing strongly and you have your gun player just stay forward or back, depending on which way it's going.
Yeah, I think he finished the first term up there, Hutto, so there probably just was a mismatch in defence for him.
So Louis Taylor still really trying to find his way as a Swan. As the former rising star with Brisbane. The ball worked through for behind him. He misses the spot that time.
The Swans have only had 10 inside 50s to this point of the game, which is extremely low. And this is where you get the bulk of them, by locking the ball in your forward half and get those repeat inside 50 entries. Let's see if they can pin the Saints in.
Gee, how far is Wilkie had to run on the way in? Steele. And now it's an opportunity for the Swans. It'll drop kick forward by Florent, understanding the situation well, and he's hit the target this time. Haywood marks and apologises to Sam Reid, but it was there to be taken, so he's just got to gobble it up. And he does have good goal mouse, and that's, I mean, I think you're right about putting him back and seeing what he can do back there. But one thing we saw when he first came into the comp is that he knows his way around goal. So from a Sydney point of view, hopefully he can be accurate here. He's already kicked 5 goals this year. He's got amongst the play early today in defence. And now he goes forward, and unfortunately, he misses on this occasion.
Powerful kick. There's never any question as to whether he was going to make the distance. So it's all just a question of accuracy, and it's a killer if you don't get the ones that you should knock through.
Yeah, horse cam's busy today, isn't it? Nice take though by Parker. So they've got the ball, the game being played in their half just for the moment. The veteran Luke Parker, 22 disposals and a goal last week. Papley from the corner. Bell with 3 Saints to contend with in the air. Battle. Oh, he bounced up beautifully then, Louis Taylor, but had to squeeze the kick up and down. Howard came through with good authority. Ryan Clark takes a flying shot. This should be to Carlisle's advantage. Blakey's athleticism worried them. Hayward stayed in the mix. Carlisle vicious in the attack on the man, and he's done it well. So can they get out this time? Gresham will spin and go. Here's that express pace from the Saints again in their ball movement.
Really poor Manny of the mark to allow him to hit that centre corridor target.
Another former Swan, albeit minimally, and Tim Membry sends them forward.
And that's the kick there. That's the kick there, which I think brings opportunity for Sydney. If they can get back quickly, Saints go a fraction too fast for mine.
He's got a free out of that high. He goes short to Steele, which just sets it up for Marshall, who just couldn't find him. Super courageous, but he was just running into the worst possible spot. He's clean one up as well.
Yeah, that was as courageous a spoil as you would see. And fortunately for him and for Sydney, he's okay.
Aaliyah. Sinclair, Geary goes a second time, a bit more success. Gresham, the extra handball from Membry, back to Battle. It's coming, it's coming, it's there.
Well, that's really clever football by St.Kilda. Again, they've fed the back a couple of times now, which has resulted in goals. So the good teams are going to feast out on this and have these options blocked. That's the second time from a contested ball where the Saints have just fed the ball back. There's another angle of that, but here's another stoppage. Saints pick up the ball after Aaliyah has it. It goes back from Geary. You can see they're spreading Kingy, which is what you like. The Swans have got all the representation on the inside, and the Saints have got the better balance on the outside.
If you're going to over-invest on the inside, you can't allow that ball to come out. I mean, once that first handball receive is taken, you've got players out everywhere. That's a quality finish, Jared.
That's a great goal.
Guys spent a lot of time down back. Josh Battle. Great finish.
The accuracy has been a hallmark of the Saints in 2020. It certainly hasn't been in previous years. I found out last week what kicking 12 goals, one will do. Not quite as accurate today. Marshall's missed a couple, but he's back in the ruck at the moment. Caulfield sends the handball Billings' way, and again, dynamic out of the middle. Thumping kick goes all the way to the square. And at the back, Gresham read it beautifully. They've got some dangerous players. The Saints lead by 17.
And another goal from a clearance. They're up to 5 scoring shots from clearances, 3 goals too. And it does look as if the Swans are still trying to win a clearance off their own boot or off their own tap in that centre bounce. So the ground level players are going both ways, which is being setting them up for a fail for mine.
That's just clever play from Max King. He takes the key defender out of the way, and he allows Gresham to go to work against a young defender in Ling. Traps him one-on-one, top of the square. Now, that's a great matchup from a St Kilda point of view. So that's 3 or 4 players thinking about the team rather than themselves.
Parker as well. He took Rampy away.
You can see them just get out of the area. Gresham's a great matchup for us in the goal square on a young player. Doesn't want to be here, doesn't want to be caught under that high ball. He'll do some things offensively, Ling, but that's not his go at the moment. So great team play from the St Kilda forward 6.
And Steele again just having an amazing influence on the game. You can see there the stoppages. It's 3 goals for the Saints. It's one of their great one-woods at this stage, and they're swinging freely.
Swans' turn to go forward. It bypasses Howard and Reid. It goes over the line and out of bounds. I love it how everyone talks about the one-wood as being a great strength.
Looks like Dane Rampy's brought his one-wood today. He's got the glove on.
It does too.
There it is.
Marshall versus Sinclair. And he's got it out of the immediate danger. Thinking football.
See, that's tough. That's harsh.
That is. Goes to Mills. Tees it up to the square. Reid looked most likely. Look at Howard go over the top of the pack. Gray was able to feed the handball back to Parker. And Battle, we've seen him at the other end, and now he's defending.
Just see what they can do on the move here, Sydney. Famously, a great forward 50 stoppage team. They had all those experienced Warriors going through. They're a bit younger now. Let's see if they get some movement here.
Quick snap, I think, from Gray. Pocket.
And again, it was Papley on the fly there, taking 2 or 3 players with him, and those that he didn't take with him, he certainly drew their attention and opened up space for Sam Gray. It's a pity he couldn't finish off.
Kick was too short, but not a problem for Hunter Clark and Wilkie, although he hesitated on the releasing kick, and Mills is going to earn himself a free. It's a grumpy Matthew Parker. Mills just softened the kick. There was 2 or 3 Swans there that really got in each other's way. Clark tried to barge through. The tackle lingered, no whistle, and Butler's gone. The handball's back, and that just slowed the progress down a fraction, but they've controlled it pretty well. Now it's in dangerous hands. Hill misses the pass, but Sinclair good enough to reel it in. One more. Butler's going to take it himself, and why not? They are such a dynamic team, the Saints, and they're getting going here.
Yeah, they're absolutely brilliant to watch, Otto. It's so exciting watching this run and gun football when they get an opportunity, but it can only be done when you've got smart decision makers. And here's the smarts. You see there's an inside ball. Jones could go try and wheel and kick. He doesn't. And this is smart play from Hill as well. He just settles a little bit, picks out a target. Nice handball. Everybody thinking goals and everybody thinking team. And that's a great result by the Saints.
And after pretty much starting the chain, Butler still had the poise and the power of his running to be able to steady and kick the goal.
What a season he's having, Butler. Been a fantastic recruit. He's exactly what they needed. Someone with speed. He's not a selfish player. He's prepared to give it off. If it's his opportunity, fantastic. If not, the team scores.
And don't you love seeing a coach on the boundary line so excited? He's been working with the group to get it all happening, and he's seeing it unfold before his very eyes. And I'm with you, Kingy. I think Butler absolutely should have kicked that goal. The handball option wasn't really there.
16 goals for the season for the former Tiger. There's a good take by Sam Reid on the stretch.
Well, they've missed their last couple of opportunities. Sam Reid needs to take responsibility here for his team. 2 goals, 5 at this stage. Desperately need a goal just to stay in touch here.
Kicked one nice goal last week early and then kicked one out on the full. He's only back for his 2nd game of the year. He's trying to get that to hang on, but it's not listening.
And there's no breeze here whatsoever. We've seen the first 2 set shots that Sydney had went out to the right, that one to the left, but no breeze to speak of.
Lynch at ground level. Tom Papley's just had the 4 disposals. Patton doing a very good job.
Yeah, doing a very good job. Looks like Tom's trying to be the deepest forward, so he stays very deep until the stoppages comes up, and then he's probably the most mobile around the stoppages, but staying very deep at this stage.
Mills able to get the handball to Lloyd, and they can't really get out. As it turned out, Florent was mobbed straight away. Steele continues to send the ball forward. Rampy, interesting approach.
I think he's looking for the boundary line. That's on the full. But the first handball from Robbie Fox was never on. He handballs to a bloke under pressure. That sort of cleared the pack.
Butler with the kick. Exciting. In more ways than one, the Saints. Plenty of umpires out there amongst the playing brigade there. But different interpretations in the umpire calls for at-bats. Lots of talk. Marshall got it down. Fox got it to Lloyd. And over and out. Asia Taylor. So the Saints getting right on top in this 2nd term. Sinclair gets the handball out. Again, still sends St.Kilda on its way. Down to Marshall and King, substantial targets. Defence is the order of the day for the Swans. They can't quite get it out of there. Billing sends it back to the front of goal, and Membry was late. Cunningham had it to himself. Uses Fox. And this time there's a little bit more time and space to try and manoeuvre it forward, but keeps going out of bounds in one way or another. Just
1-0 Lynchy at ground level there. If you think John Longmire's put an extra defender back just to stem the bleeding here a fraction.
Yeah, it looks like they got one behind the ball at the moment. And, yeah, just trying to slow things up, but just because the bounce off half-back and from these clearances from St Kilda has been too quick.
They're up at the stoppage doing the ruck contest against Ryder. Billings manufactures a quick kick forward. Membry looked ever dangerous. And that time Fox got a fist to him.
This is where you get very nervous as a Swans defender. It's got to get body on, got to be strong here. Look at St Kilda lining up on the left of stoppage, looking to charge through. A couple of blocks.
Numbers multiplying. Tim Membry, of course, played his 100th game last week in the win. Kicked that amazing goal. Played one game for the Swans, so it's his 100th for the Saints today against his old team. 6-3 to 2-6. Kilda trying to get on the move again through Hind. I think he might be in trouble here. Ran into the brick wall. Can the Swans generate something? Taylor trying to do his best, but he handballs it straight to Caulfield. And suddenly everything swings the other way. Steele. Swans hadn't really got defensively out of kilter, but King still takes the mark anyway. Use the extra centimetres to his advantage on Rampy, and they're trying to get into Rampy after that.
Got to say, King, Carlisle, it's an amazing matchup on Elijah Taylor. He's got the pace to be able to go with him, and Taylor was away there. He just got him down and dispossessed the Swans, and then the ball went forward, which sets up this opportunity.
So King right in front, kicks through the ball, and the Saints are right on top of the Gabba.
In my eyes, Jared, this is the most exciting young talent in football right now. Max King. I think he's getting to a lot of opportunities. He's different. He's incredibly tall. He arrives. He gets the ball as it arrives at its highest point. It's incredibly difficult to spoil that ball.
Without hitting an arm.
Without giving away a free kick. And his conversion's great. That's a fantastic tackle. You highlighted that with Carlisle. 100% spot on. But you just can't. There's some things in the game you can't stop. You can't stop Max King marking that ball there.
Now, he's got an incredible gift and an incredible physical advantage. And he reads the ball well enough to take advantage of it. And we're going to see this more and more and more. If he can just become more reliable with his shots in front of goal.
As he gets stronger, he'll be one grab rather than double
buffeting as well.
And the other huge asset, he's got the support up there with Marshall and Membry as well, so it's not just reliant on him being the sole target, so they can spread the load. Otherwise, it is daunting for a young key forward, but he's got plenty of options outside of himself.
Saints accuracy has returned this quarter. They've kicked 4 straight to 5 behinds. That's the 12th goal of the year for Max King. 12 goals, 5. So the Swans thrust forward, but for how long? Caulfield on the job, tapped it towards Clark, and he eventually tames it. And they work the hands this time. Howard going back a long, long way, but that's fine for Wilkie. And then to Hill. So they show good poise here and ball control. And it was, you talked about it earlier, it's one thing Brett Ratton has certainly highlighted is that ability to be able to just control the footy for periods. And he talked about the loss against Fremantle being a massive learning curve for the team.
Yeah, just going too quick, operating too fast, particularly on counter punch. I mean, you look at today, 65% of scoring comes from turnover. The bulk of that comes from forward half turnover, what Sydney are able to create in this game, if you like. So far, St Kilda have only given up 1 goal 3 coming out of their defensive half. It's fantastic.
Scary thing is for the Swans right now is that they're winning contested ball. They've neutralised the advantage around clearances of St Kilda, and they're still getting walloped.
Pressure is right on in the forward 50 for the Saints. Hind just ripped away by Cunningham. Used Taylor, and then Ling just misses the target, and that could prove costly. Hill waiting for the receive, and then he gave it back, and Clark lost his pants almost, but didn't lose his cool. Got the handball away to Geary, playing a defensive job and he gets pinged for holding the ball by his opponent. And Lloyd, as we mentioned, is a prolific ball winner back in defence for the Swans. 34 disposals last week. He's had 10 so far today. Remember, he takes the kick despite the danger of kicking it out on the full. So Girou's only plays some roles in defence, and then, like this week, we've seen him as that defensive forward on Lloyd. Lead has expanded to 27 points. Unlikely ruckman for the Saints in Parker. There did his best. Hind again to Hill. He looks hungry today, Hill, and that is a beautiful kick. Adapted his disposal, and Butler is the beneficiary.
That was a work of art. That was absolutely brilliant. He knew the smother was coming. He could have come back inboard, maybe, and had a crack himself, but he elected to go under the arms. He sees it all happening, and he just changed it a little bit and hit Butler right on the white spot.
Butler, he doesn't quite hit that in the right spot, and Lloyd was able to take the chest mark. Shake of the head, down Butler. So the Swans got any answers? Cunningham's looking around for a mate. He had nothing ahead, so they've had to play it back for Dawson and back to Rampy.
And this is a credit to St.Kilda, because the Swans out of defence have been really potent. They've been really quick with their ball movement. That's a shank. Got away with it.
Rowbottom to Papley, who's gone a long way up the ground in search of the footy, and instead it goes to Billings as Dawson cuts the angle nicely.
Now he'd be looking up the middle, and the Saints are clearly just blocking that corridor. They know where the Swans want to go, and they're preventing them. That's really good defence. And now he's going to have to start experimenting.
Switch is effective via Cunningham. Wide for Clark. It's a little scrappy around the edges again for the Swans. That's just a hope kick because he put himself under pressure.
So it all becomes a result of a 15-metre kick that's missed a target.
Caulfield plays it back. His kick explodes forward.
Yeah, that's the kick there that I think deeper into their progression they'll be better at.
Wow, the danger was everywhere on that kick. Gresham tries to find a way through. Dawson's not letting him go.
Just hanging in here, Sydney. St Kilda could have knocked them out of the park to date, but the Swans have actually aided and abetted their attempts by missing a couple of absolute sitters. So if you put another couple of goals on, they're not that far away, but critical few minutes here.
So remember, he appears to be playing behind the ball here for the Saints. It's unusual to see him so high up the ground.
Max?
Might actually be back in defence on McCartan. Lets them play.
And if they're going head-to-head, Kingy, they lined up each other at the opening bounce, Rowbottom on Jones. He's done a really good job. Jones has really struggled to get the football in this term. And Rowbottom, you can see, really working him over.
Steele found a way through. And Rampy. There's Membry now popping back up in attack. Dawson feeds it back. Hayward going back through the danger. They come for Lloyd. Butler is hovering all over him. Oh, boy, says it's high.
Well, I know we talk a lot about disposals and those sorts of things, Jerry, but Dane Rampy's gone back with the flight.
Yep.
6 times and a half a football. He's already got a broken hand.
Yes.
That's been operated on during the week. Incredible braveness.
He's having a great year.
And you can see, I think, Kingy, when he's flying, that he doesn't have full use of that hand. But as you said, just amazing courage. Battle on anyway. Sinclair. Again, they keep it wide, close to the boundary, and McCartan didn't get a look in. Howard takes a good strong mark.
The evolution of midfielders is always pretty much the same. You come on and you struggle, and finally you get a few games under your belt and you win some football, and then all of a sudden you make a noise. And this is exactly what Zach Jones has done, and now he's got to face the ultimate challenge, and that's being tagged.
Well, Hill is such a beautiful kick most of the time. Wasn't on that occasion. Bell returns the favour. And Sinclair didn't press go. He didn't have a lot ahead of him. So Caulfield now with a bit more structure to kick into. Takes it wide to Marshall. Dawson, Jones. Bell, the hands were okay that time. Rampy clever. Got his way onto the left boot. Sends the Swans up to the wing. He's bought a bit of time and not much else. There really wasn't much for him. As you can see, Caulfield full round up and then back it goes again into the pocket. Dawson with a run, crashed the pack well. Billings tries to go. Throwing his weight around was King. Louis Taylor battling away. Dawson a handball. Can the Swans chain this up? Row bottom. Louis Taylor brushes through and then again lets them down with a poor handball.
Good pressure though, isn't it?
It was, yep. It's gone up a notch in this last minute or so of the half. The Saints again can launch through Clark. Top of the square. Heats on. Geary versus Lloyd. Lloyd just didn't have enough juice left to get the handball, but he's back again. Hine tries to bustle him out of the way. Now it's Sinclair's turn. Geary puts a tackle on. There's not much left for either side. We've got a ball up.
It's messy and it's beautiful. Every contest matters. One errant handball there and they were going to score, the Saints.
And they still might. Aaliyah. Ryder. He's taken his turn. Back behind the footy.
Well, the game's been played in the Saints half for the last 5 minutes.
Marshall lining up. Aaliyah. Zach Jones. Savage. We know he's a big, strong kick of the footy. And just the wrong side of the post. Had to bide his time, Shane Savage, to get back in this team. His spot taken by some of the young players coming through. The former Hawk. Patton, I guess, one of them, and also Caulfield and Clark getting regular games now for the Saints, which is great to see for their future. Gray sends it Papley's way. Hasn't seen a lot of it so far. Off to Florent. They need a bounce to go their way, and it does. End on end. They slide one home just on the bell. And that gives them something to work with, Kingy.
Yeah, great finish. Great finish. That's what they've been trying to do for a half of football. Go through the corridor. Explode, excite, create. And they get some reward for holding up defensively for the last 10 minutes. It was a genuine arm wrestle there at the end. As ugly as the kick was, it was beautiful. Went straight through the big sticks.
Yeah, it took them to the bitter end to get their first goal of the second term. They actually had more scoring shots than the Saints in that quarter. But at halftime, it is St Kilda who are in front and have been the better team. They lead by 22 points, Sarah Jones.
Thank you.
Well, you wouldn't mind having that guy forward. Just put him on the ground if you can. Unfortunately, Buddy Franklin is one of those on the sidelines for the Swans. They wouldn't mind an addition of a key forward or two right now. They find themselves 22 points in arrears of the Saints as we get ready for the second half. And Jack Steele has been outstanding yet again. He's been one of their major playmakers. And look at those metres gained. They've got 4 of the top 5. And Jack Steele, he's had 3 score assists, 4 tackles, 5 inside 50s. Jarrett?
Third in the coaches' votes right now, Jack Steele. He's having a fantastic season. He'd be absolutely in an All-Australian side if it was selected right now, Kingy. I think he was 2nd or 3rd in their best and fairest last year, and he'd be right up there again this year.
Well, he's the big body they need to be. The prime hit 2-man around clearance. Not at speed, but just standing his ground.
And they'd be pleased to see Brad Hill back in the thick of it and getting those big territory gains for his team as well, which he hasn't quite been at his best, has he?
No, he's had a couple of
this year,
weeks
really,
where he's struggled. In fact, his spot in the side, I think, was debated at various stages a couple of weeks ago, but he's on fire tonight.
Big third quarter ahead, particularly for the Sydney Swans. And right again in territory. Jones found himself within range. He was slightly off balance as he kicked it in, and the behind is conceded.
Just a bulldoze exit, though. It was nothing pretty about it, but they've got the territory that you've talked about, Kingy, and they've got it through Ryder and Jones just bulldozing that ball forward.
So it comes back the other way off the boot of Cunningham into the middle. Aggressive kick, but there's Savage. Decides to go wide to Billings to get a different avenue of attack. King holds his ground at the top of the square. There he is, about to come up to the footy, I should say. With Aaliyah. Membry in the front, looked likely for a moment. Steele stripped of it. Butler. And then Lloyd near the boundary. Decides to keep it in. Dawson got clear of Billings, but smart play by the Saint, and Savage can strike from there, and it just fades to the right.
He's growing, Savage. He knows there's an opportunity. It's exciting times for St Kilda. He hasn't been in the side. He gets an opportunity. He wants to stay there. The Swans went straight down the middle last. They've gone down the middle more often than they have in years. But you've got to make sure you maintain possession. Stoppage at worst.
Lloyd, Parker got himself into the clear. Takes the mark. And then for Rowbottom. Possession 7 coming up for James Rowbottom. He had 18 last week and 11 contested possessions. 6 intercepts as well and 8 inside 50. So that shows the progress he's making, but it's hard to do it week in, week out when you're a youngster. Jones, there's been some extra intense around amongst the Swans players you'd expect when an ex-player comes up against his old teammates. Oh, right, thumping into Sinclair and then got the tap down. There is Rowbottom. So the feed at the back is good because this man has got a strong left foot, as we've seen, but Howard takes the mark in the air from the...
And he was sitting there by himself. Swans must have pushed an extra up to that clearance. And Howard, another one of the recruits this year, has been impressive.
Careful ball use that time, but they were able to get a loose clear, and the overlap works to good effect. Hills to Carlisle, and then it comes undone on a poor kick. So Lloyd getting up the ground now. Clark saw Hayward and hits him. He protected the ball well. So one long shot that was just off the mark. Let's see how he goes this time.
And once again, it's a shallow entry for the Sydney Swans. They've missed those a couple of shots in the first half, and they've caused some turnovers at this spot as well. So got to take these half chances.
Certainly got the capacity to make the distance, going short though.
Oh. Yeah. And that's out of frustration there. That's against Papley. He's had 5 disposals today, kicked an early goal. He's been unsighted since. He's done a great job, Patton.
See, I must admit I'd encourage Hayward to have a crack at that. I mean, he's got probably a higher percentage of scoring the goal than dropping it short, somebody else marking, going back and kicking it.
Just drops it down the line and it's worked straight over the line.
You're not always big on team first mentality, Jared. You're not always big on team first.
Well, it is team first when you take the highest opportunity, and for me, him having the shot, I've seen him kick goals from there, is the team first mentality.
Got that kick. Sinclair got the tap down to Rowbottom. Out to Florent, down Mills. Good cohesion until the entry. Just a bit too strong. And Howard gobbles that up and sends it Billings' way.
So that's the depth of entry they need, but they need to get the ball onto the ground and then hold it in. Something's just not functioning well at the moment for the Sydney Swans.
Wilkie forced to move it on. Thanks, Lynchy. Pumps it up along the line. And there's Membry.
And good body movement.
Well done.
Alea cuts it off and feeds it back to Bell. He has a look at Membry and says, I've got you. Although Membry kept at it, affected the kick. Ball there to be won. Wilkie did the winning. And then out the back, Howard. He disguised his next disposal really well. And Marshall gave him a way out. He looks up. Does Rowan Marshall. Thumps it up along the wing. It's directed at high.
Great kick.
Great kick and outstanding run into position.
And Parker with the slider.
Not many ruckmen could kick the ball like Rowan Marshall just then. Probably 3 or 4 in the competition could do that.
There's not many big guys like Rowan Marshall, is there? Patton deep, here he is. Fox did a good job at the death. Florence kick shut down, as you saw. Parker made the move, and Jones is perfectly positioned. And he can go back and would dearly love to convert.
Marshall reappearing in that play is absolutely brilliant. And it shows you why he's at the level he is this early in his days.
His work rate is superb, and we're seeing the benefits of it right now.
A little bit of fortune in that maybe, but Zach Jones, the former Swan, would like nothing better than to thread that right through for his Saints. And he's done it.
And a little bit of feedback, both positive and negative.
His new and old teammates all want a piece of him in one way or another.
Not a lot of positive feedback in there, Jared, I didn't think.
Only from St Kilda players.
if you just keep turning up, I'm really a massive fan of what Marshall does here. Charges all the way forward. You can see him there coming across the half-forward flank now, point of the square there. Sinclair can't go with him. A couple of little blocks there to give him a chance. He almost marked this ball, but it's the fact that he's there. Creates a crumb, creates an opportunity for the Smalls to go to work, and Jones just props himself in a really dangerous spot.
So 90 games for the Swans. I've got to say, at 25 years of age, it's odd that Sydney seemed to be happy enough for him to depart.
I thought it was a strange decision, Hutto. I've been public in that a number of times, but he wanted to come home. They didn't have an offer that was going to keep him.
He's keen to play as an inside mid. Thought he could, and showing he can. Sinclair up over the top. Sliding through great. Lloyd. Here's Jones going at it again.
Yeah, a little bit over-exuberant there, Jones. I think they've got under his skin a little bit. He's been released from the tag of Rowbottom, so he should start to pick up the numbers again.
He is prone every now and then to just losing the cool a little bit. So Lloyd does have a way of winning a lot of the ball. 18th disposal. Deep. Look at the numbers flying in the air. Reed got a fair piece of it and then got the handball out. Taylor told by his teammates to have a shot. He didn't get the height clearance.
Hasn't quite opened up so far for Taylor, but it's that sort of position. 2 or 3 kicks down the track and you might have a couple of goals.
Marshall does that a couple of times. Clark, low bottom. Awkward position, knowing they were coming, but he went for the footy and he takes them up.
And I think Brett Ratton would probably get that stoppage out again and have a look at just the way they were set up there. They had no protection at all.
Little handoff, Cunningham high ball. Oh, Taylor almost. Caulfield now under pressure. Battle, Billings. Hind v Ling. Bell takes them outside. Rampy. The gloved one, thread the handball through to Bell. Top of the square, Taylor's going to run. He didn't jump in the end. Sinclair got enough.
Well done. It was a good jostle there, a good battle between Sinclair and Marshall, I think it was, just at the back of the pack. And he just worked that little bit harder, Cal Sinclair, to get to the front.
And this is his best position when he is the number 2 ruckman and he's playing out of the forward line as a go-to player. He's had his best games for Sydney and for the West Coast.
So Cal Sinclair comes in. And the Swans get a critical goal early in the third.
Well, it just keeps them in touch, Kingy. They're sort of not quite there, but they're certainly not dead and buried.
And I really like the work of Bell. I think he's given them something. He's something different. He's got some angles, he's got some tricks, he's got some speed, he's got a step. I mean, that was a pretty basic play in the end, but you're just not sure what he's going to do, Jared. The more of those players you can have, the better.
Yeah, he's getting busy. Let's get down to Lynchy.
Thanks, Hutto. We just saw after the Zach Jones goal a couple of minutes ago, and Jake Carlisle paid particular attention to Dane Rampy's broken hand in this little fracas. Just see left of screen there. He's gone after that, something the AFL aren't overly fond of these days.
No need for that. Really no need for that.
None at all.
No, we're well past that in the game these days.
And still it goes. Papley letting him know a little bit more what he thought about it.
I just heard from the umpire's mic mentioning that as well, that attention to the hand.
Right of the tap. Steele came through. Few little moments here for the Swans. Florent thrusting it forward. Here's Bell again. Inserts himself into the game. Gets it deep. Taylor didn't get the clean fly. He was almost able to gobble up the footy.
Yeah, that's his game today. It's been an almost game. He's had about 4 or 5 genuine half chances, but no easy ones. But he's getting himself in the position to get the half chances, and Carlisle is desperate to get himself reported.
Yeah, going on with it. Free to Allaire.
Yeah, no, good work. Good work. He fought for position. The rider didn't like it. He tried to grapple. He tried to wrestle. gave away the free kick. It's a fine line, it really is, but he just grabbed him a fraction high for a split second. There's not a lot in it, but that's ruck work.
It's ruck lotto. Adelaide needs to convert. After the Saints kicked the first of the third, Sydney have come back, as we saw at the start of the game, with a couple of shots for goal. Again,
well, that's 3 now from that same, basically the same position. 30 metres out, 25 metres out, not a big angle. They're killers.
Savage to the wing. Aliir gets another opportunity. Holds his ground as Ryder came in. Butler besieged. And has he done enough? For the umpire didn't get the same view we did.
So the Swans having a good 3 or 4 minute patch here in this third term. A few of the Saints players wanting to get involved in other areas.
Parker.
And it's a good opportunity for them, Kingy, to learn from other couple of games where they've given away good leads, and that is just to reset, get the head back in the game and start getting on with the business of winning the game.
Ryder getting physical again with Aliir. Happy trying to get something generated. Florent. Billings, knows pressure's coming, put it in good hands. Howard, oh, there's good commitment for Papley. His teammates will love that. Big smother in the pocket, they can set up around it. They're getting some wins at the clearances in this quarter.
Yeah, they levelled them up in the second term, got smacked for scorers from clearances, and that ultimately is the number that every coach is looking at.
Some separation on the ruck that time, and Ryder got Aliir where he wanted. Sinclair, as a result, gee, he was almost claimed. Clark versus Hill. Florent searching, found something. Fox out wide, Mills with instructions. Off to Louis Taylor. Well, that was an interesting choice, wasn't it? He had the option to go low.
He just lays off his kicks way too often rather than getting the weight forward. Only has to take 2 or 3 small steps, get the shoulders over the knee, and get the weight going through the ball, and he'll get far more penetration in his kicking.
A long conversation.
Yeah, it'll be a throw-in. I think Carlisle knows that too. He knows he dropped the mark. Oh.
That's not needed either, is it really?
Swans around the ball have lifted it. I think Ollie Florent is one of the leaders who's having his best patch in the match.
Aliir in the shuffle on the ruck that time. Patton underneath that. There's the footy somewhere. Taylor the tackler. So they've laid 7 tackles to 1 in this quarter, the Swans. They've tried to up the ante in the pressure stakes. Now they need to hit the scoreboard. The Saints won't want to let them do that. Steele on the turnaround. He does lead their tackles, one of the best in the competition, averages 6 a game. Just get a little tetchy here as well.
Let's see if movement can create something here. The Swans forwards have got to get on the move. They've got to overlap. They've got to get some blocks on. There's plenty of space to work in there. 4 or 5 pairs at the front of this ruck contest.
A block for Papley. He's on the move. He puts a big tackle on.
That's good. Build the pressure. Go again. Set up again.
Spot on. This is much better from the Sydney Swans. Their defensive pressure around these stoppages that own the territory in this game so far. Just convert a half chance here and they'll be well and truly back in this.
Yeah.
This time the free goes to Ryan.
He outsmarted him there. Because he came in and did exactly the same thing that Aliir did to him a minute and a half ago. It's experience.
That's Ryder. And that's Marshall. Knocked away by Mills, who's back in defence at the moment. Edged forward by Clark. Gresham almost was able to shake off the tackle, but not quite.
Well, the Swans have had the territory battle, had it won for the last 5 minutes, but
Real challenge here for professionalism for St Kilda as an on-field 18 at the moment. The leaders need to get around and say, OK, let's just knuckle down for 5 minutes here and straighten up.
Some leads are made, but still it's long to the big guys. Howard with the spoiling intent. Papley makes his move, but the boundary line wins the day. So just a reminder where to go if you're a St Kilda player. This is where you come off. Right of the tap. Oh, Papley laid it off. Taylor's got it coming back, but not enough.
And this is the serious play here now for Sydney. They've got to hold this in because the Saints have got control of the ball. They can set up the fast break. They can undo all the momentum that the Swans have built up in this last couple of minutes with a blow on the goal.
Ben Robbins, that was. He's in charge of the leadership down at St Kilda. I think he plays a part in that and development. I think that's just, this is our brand. Get back to our brand. Get your positioning right. Let's reset.
Patton down the wing. Blakey got a fist into it. The Swans are coming again. High ball. Opportunity. McCartan fully committed. So too is Savage.
Well done.
Yeah, by both players. I mean, Savage just sat there knowing that well, he didn't know what was coming, but it could have been awful. And McCartan continues to attack the footy. No St Kilda ruckman.
So, no, anyone. I think they were too scared.
Can someone go out and tell Lear he's with Sydney?
Just hold the sign up for
They
him.
didn't have the sign up. That was the problem.
Well, that's an opportunity missed, wasn't it, really, to grab it and get it forward. Savage bangs it back to the wing. Mills. Back taking intercepts across half-back. Sending the Swans forward. It's a fascinating little arm wrestle at the moment. All being the arms sort of pushed towards the Swans end, but they just can't get it down for a score. Reeve from the pocket, a double grab, row bottom. Off the ground goes Parker, a second chance. A handball, needed to find a mate in space. Blakey the same. Now the legs are going. Will it be Tom Papley? Oh, not quite.
Well, he hasn't missed many of those in the last 5 or 6 weeks. But here go the Saints on rebound, and this is when they're damaging.
11-4, the inside 50s for the third term. It really hurts you when you're missing Isaac Heaney and Lance Franklin down there. They're asking a lot of players who are just making their way. But this is a really good sign. They've been able to turn this around. They were getting smashed at half-time around the clearances, around contested possession, so that at least the Swans have bounced back in this term. They lead the third term plus 10 contested possessions.
21 points is still the margin. Rowbottom manoeuvred his way through, having some impact now. Parker up into the pocket. Saints have got the extra resources, you can see. And Savage is one of those spares back there to get a fist into it.
Well, it's an area that the Swans will need to address with McCartan. His man was able to drop off him, and so it became a 3-on-1 situation. So they've either got to hit up McCartan, or McCartan has got to realise that it's not him, and he's got to get to the fall of the ball as well.
Billings went through. The footy was left behind, though. Bell was able to get it out, and another opportunity blown. Ollie Florent.
Just to follow on from your point earlier, Jared, you just see that St Kilda are going to get through this press.
Yeah.
I mean, Sydney have been so good, but you have to take these chances up against a top team.
1-4 for the quarter now. And that's a terrific take by Dawson, who speared the pass in through the hands of Hayward. Papley, you can see the look of determination matched by Billings. Second crack, Papley, will he or won't he? It's a centering ball. It's a high one, it's there. And there was high flyers. Parker came through, found himself with the ball. Patton can't do much with it. Jones caught in the crush, disposed of. Patton thumped it out. Swans, they're set up. Here we go again. Lloyd, where will he go this time? The defensive 50 is full of Saints. But the sliding McCartan has it in the pocket.
Well, the Swans have missed 4 from directly in front or thereabouts.
That's the line, Tom.
The footy gods may suggest that this is the one that goes through.
15 seconds.
Extremely difficult shot, but a conversion here. And there'll be real genuine hope for the Sydney Swans. It's high, and it is dead straight. Finally.
Kingy, can you explain that to me? How is it you can have 3 blokes miss from 30 metres out directly in front, relatively, and then somebody snags one from the unlikely angle?
And that passage there, that uncontested mark really inside the forward 50, the Saints defensive 50, would really disappoint Brett Ratten, because that's the area they're working on. If you look at the last 3 weeks, they're the second easiest defensive 50 to score against. So clever by Tom McCartan to lead to that area, that vacant space. But the conversion from there, when you're a 25% chance or less from there.
Look at these inside 50s. It has just been one-way traffic. Brett Ratten, he'd be really annoyed with this. I think that they allowed themselves after the Zach Jones goal to get distracted. The Swans kept coming and coming and coming, and everyone wanted to fight and push and shove instead of continuing to play their game.
And for whatever reason, third quarters have clearly been their worst this year. They've won 3 and lost 5, and substantially, really. They've kicked 15-10. Opposition have kicked 19-23. So they need to lift here, the Saints. Steele thumps it deep. Embry got buffeted by Fox. He still almost took the mark. Lloyd on the job to Cunningham. And they've averted the immediate crisis. Back out to the wing, Taylor. Showed his toe. He'll try and track in. The boundaries there. He tried to play it on its merits. Marshall got caught. Just got barely a handball away. Hill with a double grab. And the Swans are winning around the edges at the moment. Jones changes the balance of that with a big tackle. And it's over the boundary and out of bounds.
He's impressive, Elijah Taylor. Adam Goodes will be pretty proud he's wearing his number, I'm sure.
Spent his first few weeks in Sydney with Buddy Franklin as his housemate as well. Learning the ropes, learning about preparing yourself as a professional. And as you said, carrying that number of the great Adam Goodes. WA boy getting his opportunity. 14 points the margin, so St Kilda, as we said, put in a dreadful performance after a great start against Fremantle a couple of weeks ago. Since then, they've been outstanding, but they're being challenged here in the third quarter. Membry with 2 to beat.
It's just their 6th inside 50, and it's barely, or not even inside 50. So 5 inside 50s for the turn to 14 for Sydney. And Brett Ratten, he'd be annoyed, he'd be worried. He'd still have great faith that this group will reset.
Sinclair got to the front. Parker, a hard man to restrain at any time. Clever from Gray to Clark, and they edge their way along the wing. McCartan, a hard man to move, and Battle was hanging on.
Blake Parker, brilliant clearance. Couple of smart handballs, including one from Gray.
And they're streaming forward. McCartan had to wait, though, so it's not going to be easy to discern a clear advantage ahead, and you can see that plastered all over his face. So down the line goes the kick. Howard will jump up and try and spoil. Dawson splits the contest, and we'll have a throw.
Well, Rowbottom's the one. I mean, he's the one around the clearances that turned it around in this quarter. They've gone away from tagging Zach Jones in the last 15 to 20 minutes, and he's had 4 of Sydney's 11 clearances in this term. They've actually led the clearances 11-6, so Rowbottom must be clamped.
Packley's on the move again, but it doesn't go his way. Jones. Sinclair saw a chance to escape, but it's clean to half forward. Membry denied again. King hasn't seen a lot of opportunity in this quarter. Well done from Matty Parker. Back to Hill. So what mode will the Saints go into now? Well, Marshall just goes straight ahead. Geary's waiting behind Membry. Butler's at the front trying to get an opportunity, which doesn't eventuate on this occasion. Harry just struggling a little bit. Cunningham, that is. Limping back to his spot, so Butler might be able to utilise that advantage if it goes his way. Parker.
Super tackle.
Yeah.
Needed a statement. Got one.
Return last week. Jack Sinclair, 15 disposals, had 5 inside 50s.
Oh, that's...
That is name written all over it, but couldn't complete the job. Swans defence have to be quick and clean. They were not able to be, and the penalty is a great one. And Hind has done it again.
Well, the pressure of the Saints in that forward 30 just really brought to bear, and the mistake came, just an errant handball. And it set up Zach Jones for a layoff. And all of a sudden, despite the fact that the Swans have totally dominated this term, there's the handball. It was a handball to no one. And a good finish by Hine, who's becoming a very clever player in this forward 50. The Swans, despite their absolute domination, have just reduced the margin by 2 points.
He's full of energy too, isn't he?
Oh, he's good. He's really good to watch. He's a clever player. He's had to wait a hell of a long time to get an opportunity at AFL footy. And he's grabbing it with both hands.
Plenty of dialogue between the umpires and players this afternoon. 37 seconds in this third term. Sinclair got the better of Ryder, but Jones straight into action. Gresham out to the wing with a plan. Hine. He reckons he can get past Hayward, and you know what? He can. And in a flash, the Saints are pressing again, although it wasn't the most direct path to goal. And Lloyd cut across in front of Parker.
And you can just see why so many centre bounces are random events. That was a hit out to disadvantage. It came straight from Callum Sinclair. He thought he was hitting it somewhere, but goes down the throat of Zach Jones.
Zach is zigging and zagging at the front of this one. He's putting his teammates are putting the tackle on. Parker that time got a handball. Lloyd was buffeted. Sinclair and up against the clock. 10 seconds to go. Back to the square from Hine. King, Rampy. And it's over and out just before the siren.
And another incredible game by Rampy. He's had a goal, maybe two kicked against him, but gee, what a performance he's putting in.
Barring a disaster or a free kick, which it could have been. So, well done to St Kilda to not really give up too much in that quarter. Certainly the Swans gave it everything they had and left some opportunities out there. They're still within range though. 20 points is the margin in this annual Pride match between St Kilda and Sydney. It's the Saints by 20. He'll take on the Cats. So the West Coast versus Geelong is ahead tonight. Still got a quarter to go in this one, and the Swans, well, they made their move, or they tried to in that third quarter. 15 entries to 7, but they kicked the same number of goals. Now, we talked about West Coast stars. Well, a former West Coast star, or a premiership star, Dean Cox. He's now the whipping boy of John Longmire, and in that role, you've got to know, so you've got to put on the anguished face so that the coach can't say too much to you, and you're not going to know when to get out of your chair, and you've got to know how tall you are as well. And you'd think as a ruckman over the years, you would have learnt when you've got to bend down, but he's learned it the hard way. And Stevie J thinks it's pretty funny.
No empathy from Stevie, and he's just telling Jared McVeigh all about it.
Got the sprinkler head.
That'll get brought up during the week. Have a look at Stevie laughing at him. Oh, we shouldn't laugh. He's had a tough day, Dean Cox.
Let's get down to Alistair Lynch.
Thanks, Hutto. We saw just before three-quarter time Harry Cunningham limp from the ground, and he was getting attended to by the physios on the bench. It happened in this incident just a couple of minutes before three-quarter time. There was a marking contest from Tim Membry. Then he went to tackle Harry Cunningham, and it's trapped his right ankle under that tackle, and he's had it treated and re-strapped at three-quarter time. So it looks like he's going to start on the interchange bench, but should be right to start the last quarter when needed.
Thanks, Lynchy. So what's their best chance of really challenging here for a victory, Jared, do you think?
Well, I think they've got to just repeat what they did in that third term, except they've got to take advantage of their inside 50 domination. I mean, they were really good around the ball. They won the contested ball. They backed it up after the second quarter where they got Drew level. But if you don't take your chances, well, and you're 20 points behind at three-quarter time, well, you're going to end up falling short. Right now, the Saints, they've been given time to reset. And Brett Ratton would have been pretty calm and measured, but said, listen, let's get back to business here. This is not our brand. This is not what we do. We want to focus on moving the ball, and let's get the job done.
Be a long time since the Swans have had 15 inside 50s in a quarter, and that's what they had in the third term, and they just let some opportunities slip, as you said. As Lynch touched on the conversion through the course of the game. They need to get their runners back on again, the Saints. Get themselves going, see if you can excite. Probably Brad Hill's the one. I mean, you look at those centre-bounce midfielders, they've had Gresham in there, they've had Billings in there. You just want some excitement early. Shake them out of this lethargy.
Hill just 3 possessions in that turn. Sinclair's another player, ball mover, that I really like. I think he's got great upside, just 3 possessions. Steele just had 2 possessions. Gresham had just 2 possessions. And Battle, who's been up on the wing at various stages, he just had the 1 possession. So they had a lot of blokes not get near the footy in that turn that are generally their engine. Saints
can jump to 3rd on the ladder with a victory this afternoon or the early evening. So there's a lot on the line for Brett Ratton and this St.Kilda team.
I've been impressed with Carlisle's season to date. I mean, he's a very, very talented player. Just lost his way a little bit for 10 minutes. Needs to just get his head back in the game and finish off strongly.
So they take a 20-point advantage into this final term. Jones in the thick of it again and out to Gresham. The leading clearance player gets them into the 50 and then Hind again. He can march in for his 3rd. But this time he misses. It might have been almost a bit too easy.
Well, it was an easy centre clearance. It came out without any resistance.
It's been a wonderful pickup. I mean, he was taken from the Essendon reserves team with a late pick in the 50s a couple of seasons ago now, or a couple of drafts ago now.
Dawson got a piece of it, but not enough. Steele back. Ryder, a rush kick forward, but gives the little small forwards a chance to cause some havoc. Mills trying to deny them that. Rampy, Clark, it's a hot ball, as you can see. Membry has an impact. Squirts the ball out in front of Battle. He struggles with the kick. And it's out on the full.
So Sydney want corridor. We know that they want to have a look at the corridor, but not as aggressive as previous on this occasion.
Ryder had an impact. Florent realised he had to get rid of it. Jones also in a rush, Cunningham on the spot. Fox just had to bide his time for a moment till there was something for him. Reid, a tough one against Carlisle. Carlisle kept on going, he did well. Gresham went back through the traffic to find Steele, and off the left boot, he couldn't quite pinpoint a teammate. And the Swans defence busy for the moment. Alia to Dawson. Not the easiest one for Reid, he's copying it. But he puts a great tackle on Steele. Lloyd's done well just to get rid of the ball and not give up a free. Parker, the frenzy continues on the wing. Steele with a big tackle. Billings has buried it. And it's going to be a ball up and everyone can get their breath back. Ryder again with the space. Gresham not waiting to pick it up.
Happens a lot. I mean, if you just keep your eye on forward half stoppages, very unlucky for deliberate there, but Ryder to Gresham in the forward half around the ground stoppages happens a lot. Swans have got to be better than that.
His 5th clearance today, Gresham. Back up along the wing. This time Reid got a clear access to the footy. They're in desperate need of tall forwards to get back in their team, and so now Reid and McCartan working in tandem. Thought better of the short one. Cunningham had looked in trouble before, back out there, but they've turned it over. Jones with the intercept. Not sure it was actually meant for Steele, but
it's been very reflective, that kick of the Swans game. I mean, their work rate has been really good. Their setup looks really good, and yet just basic skill errors have cost them dearly.
And what the issue was, there was no big down the line, so they wanted to go short. There was no Sinclair. Reid hadn't got down there in time either.
McCartan was already committed.
So Saints have possession. Howard. Rampy might have infringed that time on King. Advantage. Gresham was onto it quickly. Kickers probing. Sinclair v Fox. Still there. Hind slapped it back. Membry missed his chance that time. Battle. A losing battle it was that time. But Butler, as he does so often, pops steps up and kicks a goal.
Well, it's just pure work rate there. They just continue to apply pressure to the Swans' defence. Lloyd blindly handballed. He was under the heat.
That's their spot, Jared. That's where they want to kick the ball.
But they're kicking it actually to small, so it's small against small.
It doesn't...
And that was clever.
Yeah, they're not too fussed who's representing down there. I mean, 0 to 30 is where they want to score, predominantly the Saints, and they've scored 6 of their 10 goals, 0 to 30 from goal.
So it's just good forward pressure here. They've lost it, they get it back, they lose it. And Butler, very cool, very calm, and he made the most of it.
Just getting the angle on the boot so right, so quickly.
Just part of your progression's got to be learning how to manage the clock. In a shortened season, just got to bank the wins. I wonder whether St Kilda changed their method in this last 12 to 13 minutes. Just some uncontested marks, not as much desire to take territory. Let's wait and see.
Out to 27 points now. Marshall to Jones. A goal and they're reinvigorated, the Saints. Thrusting forward, Parker, Fox. They're under the pump right now, the Sydney defence. Gray tried to lend a hand, but coughed it up. Parker. High ball. King flew it at Butler's going again. Back to the top of the square. There's 3 Swans there. They can't quite work it out because Hine, he has an appetite for the footy. And sometimes just a little goes astray.
Well, he can go left and he can go right. He's certainly got a hunger for the big sticks. He's got some speed. He's been a great pickup, as you said, Kingy. And again, we see the Swans turn that ball over with an errant handball under pressure.
With Gresham trying to act not interested here.
He hasn't fooled you.
Oh, King. That was all a little easy. Geary popped it over and he's put it through.
Wow. Well, that was disappointing in many ways because it has been totally against the way the Swans have played. There's been nothing easy for St Kilda since half-time, and yet this was all way too easy. Another stoppage goal.
Gets the ball to boot very quickly for a big man.
Yeah. Yeah, not every 200-centimetre plus player would be able to get the ball to boot this quickly.
Good play by Geary. He's making the most of this half-forward role.
Well, he's had to find a role, really, because clearly the Saints like getting that rebound with a bit more pace off the half-back line. And this is a role that he's owned and he's done particularly well in a number of games.
So Max King with 2 goals. That's the best, equal best so far. So I wonder whether he can
PB
get a 3 or more even in this last quarter. Saints stretching it to 33 points now. Hill socking it forward. It's all going one way at the moment, and that's the right way if you're a Saints fan. So the Swans need to dig in here. Ling did his best. Marshall hacks it forward. It's back in front of goal again. Ryder looking to dish it. Hine, those legs are pumping again. And he's put that one through for his 3rd.
It's just so exciting if you are a St Kilda supporter to see a bloke who was, you know, just part of the team last year and the in and out, got a couple of opportunities, struggling the previous year to get a game in AFL footy, and then all of a sudden, Kingy, he's becoming a force in this forward line.
Well, there's no substitute for speed. You know, speed offensively and speed defensively. Does a bit of both.
And he's got great skills on both sides of the body. He can go right, he can go left, and that helps.
It's a good mix. It's a very good finish. It's a good mix, that forward 6 or 7. You can see where they're going to be dangerous in the air in time, especially on the back of King. But at ground level, they're very dangerous, and they've got numerous options. These have certainly been a find. There was another Essendon small forward reject that became a fair forward pocket for St Kilda in time.
Stevie Muir
is a superstar.
39 points, and it's come quickly for the Saints in this final term. Sinclair along for the ride, and Parker. And we have a ball up. And we release handball to Clark. So Mills, after playing his most ever time in the midfield last week, settled back in defence today. Rampy takes on the kick. Don't regret it now. Clark casually found Jones in plenty of space. Hit the ground, but great chase from Ling. Was it in the back? We've seen a lot of those paid of late. Not this time. Jones kept on coming. Off to Geary. Just space to get a kick and get a goal if you don't mind for the skip. It's an avalanche now.
Yeah, the floodgates are absolutely opening up. 8 inside 50s in this term. They've kicked 4 goals, 1 from them. Pretty well straight from the centre clearance. Jones has an opportunity. It was a good chase. It was a push in the back, not paid.
Max King, though, again at ground level.
He's got great hands, Kingy.
Yeah, he's some sort of player, Jared, in the air and at ground level.
I mean, that is just an easy handball, we know, but he has got really dexterous hands. Both sides of the body. He's got good vision. He's going to be a hell of a player in time.
He's the #1 Saints forward 50 ground ball player, Max King.
Is he?
I mean, when you look at the names down there and the smalls down there, you think, no, it has to be Gresham. It has to be Butler. It has to be Hind. It's a 204-centimetre full forward.
We talk about ground balls. That man, Zach Jones, has had 12, which is clearly #1 on the ground.
Yeah, 7 possessions in this term, including 3 score involvements.
He's enjoyed himself against his old team. Gray wobbles the ball forward. Rare opportunity in this last quarter for the Swans forwards to get a good look at it. Parker thumped it, and it lands in the hands of McCartan.
Well, it was good clearance again. Parker, who's busted his guts all day, supplying the football to the forwards. McCartan can't do much more than that. He's taken the front spot. He's read it best. And it wasn't as if it was spinning in a very good manner. He just snaffled it nicely.
I can't believe his lack of it. And McCartan converts.
Well, it's a bit of a drubbing right now for the Swans, but this bloke, to me, is a real positive to come through in this season. He's
his third today, Jared.
Just slowly building. They're looking for, some life post Buddy Franklin. And this bloke, he's not Buddy Franklin, but he's
not many people are.
He's a genuine target. He's got pace, and he's a darn good kick.
You can just see he's got movement too. Like, he's the easiest players to defend are the stationary players.
Equaling his PP of 3 goals.
I think Max can get another 4 in this term, Hutto, to get the 6 we've been looking for.
Rowan Marshall did his best work early in the game, but he's missed a couple of shots for goal. He still had 15 disposals, matching up against Aaliyah. So 10 minutes remaining in this one. Saints on their way to 3rd place on the AFL ladder, at least for the moment. Gresham again looking to get another clearance. Clark came to lend a hand. Sinclair with a burst. Oh, got a problem with the P in the whistle, but the umpire eventually gets it blown. Gresham a quick, probably needless bounce, and a short pass to Clark. Ryder came up with the footy. It's gone longer than that. Off hands and out of bounds.
Let's enjoy their forward 50 stoppage work here of the Saints and just see if they can do what they've done all season, show their point of difference, their real aggression here. Could be Steele, could be Gresham, could be Hind. Who's on the fly?
Ryder with a tap back. Parker with the fend. Savage and then Gresham. Steele and the curling ball. Disrupted Rampy. Here's King. No, he doesn't go for his 3rd. Fox took it, was in trouble, but it's going to get a free for holding the man.
He couldn't get those legs untangled. He was looking for some space. It wasn't there.
Logue with the hands to Dawson. Ling. And that's a bit of an in-between kick. Made life particularly tough for Clark. And then Parker taken over the line and out of bounds. You'll see the rainbow socks being worn by both teams. Symbols to the LGBTQ community. This is the AFL's Pride game. The primary focus is to promote inclusion in sport, but more specifically, make sure that everyone feels welcome and safe at the footy. At the moment, it's the Saints by 39 points. The Swans are on the move. Good little tussle there. Patton has won the day, but you can't let Papley in for a moment. He'll jump on it. And on this occasion, it doesn't come together for him.
He's had a couple of shots that have gone missing. That was probably the easiest of the lot. But a good job by Patton.
Leading the Coleman still by 1. And Charlie Cameron. Josh Kennedy to play tonight. Not far off either. Ryder and Aaliyah. Aaliyah got into the best position. Steele continues on. His 20th disposal. Hill, bit of a stunted kick along the line. And it's over and out.
One thing I really like about St Kilda since we've resumed this season is their ability to score. In the last 3 weeks, they're averaging 75 points, up to 85 already. Season high against Richmond was 93, so they'd be aiming for that right now. But it just poses so many questions for the opposition if they can't match this speed.
Steele pumps it high for King v Rampy again. Rampy always recovers so quickly, but the door was still ajar. King's going to kick his third. Personal best for Max. Good one, Max.
Well, he was the target with a long kick in from Steele. Wasn't to his advantage. Rampy had him covered, but the ground ball ended up in another errant Swans handball. I suspect they've given away 5 goals, maybe 6 from bodgy handballs under pressure in the forward line.
Is that a stat the champion keep, Jared, the bodgy handball?
Bodgy handball. It's a handball to disadvantage. I think we need to establish it if they don't have it. You could have actually just blamed the fumble.
I still think this guy will be the #1 player in the 2018 draft when we look back in a decade's time, or even earlier. Walsh, Lukosius, Rankin, Max King, Connor Rozee, his brother Ben, Bailey Smith. I mean, it's a fantastic draft that he's come through with, but what he's doing at his size is ahead of the normal trajectory for that type of player.
Big 4 he was.
Yeah.
There's the numbers you were talking about before, Kingy. Saints, high-scoring team. They can get the tempo right and know when to go forward and when to just hold on to things. They are going to be a very dangerous team. What a transformation it's been for Saints supporters. And it's fantastic.
Many of the guys that you mentioned, Kingy, are ahead of trajectory, and that's why it's such a special draft, as you have said.
Caulfield finds Marshall.
Do you think he will in time go into the middle, or do you just keep him as the tall forward?
Jerry, they call him Winks for a reason.
Yep. Don't sacrifice him.
You don't put your thoroughbreds
the altar of the centre bounce.
Well, you can put your Brumbies. Not that they've got any Brumbies, they've got Marshall and Ryder to go in there, so they're well placed.
Savage to the top of the square, and Battle takes the mark, and Battle kicks the goal. And they're coming everywhere right now.
Yeah, the Swans had their opportunities in the third term. They fired their best shot, didn't come up with enough score. And the Saints have just resettled and basically just putting the Swans now to the sword. They've got the game going absolutely their own way. And it's a clinic, and it's an exciting clinic to watch.
Well, you're going to have to take some confidence forward. You know, in a compressed season, 6 goals so far in this last quarter. Exceptional stuff.
And he's another player, just, you know, big guy, but he can play multiple positions, so he gives you that versatility, doesn't he, Josh Battle?
Yeah, they've played him up in the wing. I'm pretty sure that's not his position, but they push him up there. He can play in defence. He can play as another tall option in the forward line.
Once again, they've had 8 goal kickers, individual goal kickers today, Jared. And as you can see, they're leading the way in that spread of goal
It's
kicks.
a fantastic forward half.
What that tells you is that your turnover game's in really good order. So any player can finish forward of the ball or receive, you know, a handball, post a ground ball. Generally, it's not a targeted entry.
Peter Marshall, they're hungry for more. Build the percentage if they can. Leaders blown out to 50 points. Ball stood on its end, and there's a bit of chaos ahead. Swans defence used hands to get clear, and maybe a launching pad, although Rowbottom just thumped it out of there. And Howard can't return the favour. No one wants to claim the fact that they've got possession of the ball. They're worried that the umpire is going to penalise them. First time in recorded history anyway, these two sides have in recent years have played outside of the regular venues in Victoria and New South Wales. They played at the Cape Tin, though, in Wellington in 2013. Jared, I think we were both there for that one.
There indeed. It's a really good ground over there. Unfortunately, couldn't quite draw a crowd to make it work. It's always on a public holiday, so everybody deserted Wellington.
6 goals to 1 in this last quarter so far, the Saints, off the back of 5 goals to 0 in the 4th quarter last week. This can start to gather its own momentum for deeper into the season. If you find yourself in a bit of a hole, players always fall back on a little bit of history, but they know they can do it, Jared. So I think it's important they keep pressing here and keep trying to score, given the fact that the game's over, really.
What we do know is that they've got no interest in chipping the ball around and killing the clock. They're just having fun at the present time. They want to score big. Maybe now you're seeing the chip.
I think they heard you, Jared.
And it's been an impressive couple of weeks after that disappointing loss to the Fremantle Dockers. They had the back-to-back trips at the Adelaide Oval on the short turnaround, driving from Noosa and flying down. And then this one, it's been a very good couple of weeks.
He's get 3 hard. He shares the love here with Parker. King back to Parker. Anyone want to take a shot?
Sport for choice in the end.
Yep.
I'm not sure if it was Simon Lethlean who negotiated Noosa, but whoever it was did a pretty good job for the Saints. You're going to be in a hub, not a bad place to be. 5 minutes to go in this one. The Swans, of course, moving up to Brisbane in a hurry this week. They had to get out of Sydney, so they're now taking their turn in a similar situation.
And they're off, I think, Friday. They're off to WA.
Yes.
So big ask on the Sydney Swans.
Well, he hasn't had much of it, but he's pretty confident he can nail this one.
Hunter Clark. Arcs out. Oh, it's an ugly old kick.
And opposition footy watchers will just put that one in the bank. He had the setup there for the bloke blocking on the mark.
Back to the middle. Howard. They'll go again. King looming. Rampy. Clark with a little chip. Howard came late. McCartan a little bit grumpy about all of that, but very diligent soldier that he is. Took the mark. Didn't want to show it too much. Plays it back via Hayward. So how good can St Kilda be? I mean, there's a lot of unknowns about this year, I know. Can they challenge for the big prize?
Well, it's really early in the piece to be talking about that, but geez, if you're a St Kilda supporter, you wouldn't be putting any limitations on where they can go. And that's what's exciting about this group. There's organic growth. As a group, they're just getting to know each other, really, given they've had so many inclusions. You wouldn't count them out of being a serious contender, from my eyes anyway. You've got to be able to kick a score to win. I think that that's part and parcel of it, and they can certainly do that.
Butler almost took it out, but as you saw, it stayed alive. Dawson. Do they want for anything in particular, do you think? I mean, they've got, obviously, the 2 rucks, which not too many teams have. King as the spearhead. He's very young, but you've talked about what he does possess. They've got the run, the metres they can cover. The dangerous Butler and other smalls.
I think as Gresham sets up another opportunity here.
Let's see if they can snag another. Billings onto the boot and a flash. Wrong side.
Well, inside that forward 50 today, they've had 72 disposals inside their forward 50.
Yeah.
That's the hardest spot to get hold of the ball on the field, clearly. That's an AFL best for the season. So it just shows you what the little things that they do that are different to the rest of the competition are in really good order right now. Well, can you hold that for the year? Is that enough to take you to top 4 or premiership? Well, we don't really know yet.
Aaliyah back out to the wing. That's a good grab. Steeled himself to take the mark. Sinclair.
But it's different, and I think that's the point, is that it's different, and you're going to be challenged when you play St Kilda to have a competent ruck set up or really good ground level effort defensively, a back 50 that can hold up against multiple tall talent.
To the square again. Lots of hands on it. Still fighting the good fight back there, the Swans. They missed their chance really in the third quarter, didn't they? Florent tried to clear it. Wilkie was on guard.
I think the simple answer to your question, Hutto, is that the ladder tells you that they're right in the mix.
Well, the other thing is, so they'll jump to third, and West Coast or Geelong could potentially pass them tonight. But the two of the games that they've lost, or the 3 games they've lost, were against Fremantle and North Melbourne.
Yeah. And they're well in control of both of those games. So they're learning, they're maturing as a side. I think even today we saw some maturity. Just lost their way for about 15 minutes in that, or 10 minutes in that third quarter, and that 3-quarter time, coach got hold of them, senior group probably got hold of them, and they've turned on an absolute clinic in the last quarter.
I know Hanbury hasn't played a hell of a lot of football for St Kilda. I still think he's a bit of a loss with his ball use and just that leadership out there on field. Now they've covered for that with other players, that's fine, but we're talking about the marathon.
You'd like to have him available, obviously. You'd like to have him out there right now, getting some games into the body.
Ben Long will come back into this team across half-back. He's been fantastic for them this year.
Well, he was their leading interceptor while he was in the team. Under Clark growing in maturity all the time. Showed it again there, Marshall. Hill's going to play better football. There's some good signs in the first half again today. Jack Steele has been a wonderful recruit for them, really, hasn't he, too? From the Giants. Marshall. Mills. Taylor arching the back. Pumps it up. Bell. Back to Taylor, and then Mills a blind handball. He's trying to hit Rowbottom, but Saints already have it on the move. And this guy is hard to stop. 2 bounces, 3 bounces through the middle. Hines' delivery is pretty good. Battle takes the mark again. He's been a great sight. Around goes Battle, and he puts through his... No, he doesn't. He's missed.
It's just exciting to watch, though, when somebody's just charging through the middle of the ground, bouncing, and it was a brilliant kick. Didn't punch it, just waited it, so Battle had time to turn.
A bit of space opening up late in the game with tired legs. Taylor running to Caulfield. Carlton tried to get going. Bell again. Back to the middle to Florent. Went through a couple of potentials and he settled. And a short pass to Parker, who thinks he's the best chance by just a couple of quick steps and then delivering. He wasn't far off the mark.
Just in the background, we saw Papley go to ground again. 1 goal, 2 today. It's been well clamped.
And the siren sounds, and the Saints continue to be a must-watch team in 2020. The rise continues. They string together their 3rd win in a row. And they come at you from all sorts of angles, the Saints. They score, they fight, and they win again over the Swans by 53 points. points in the third quarter. The Swans just couldn't put enough scoreboard pressure on them. But the Saints dominated in that final term. And they kicked 6 goals, 5 to 1-2.
Yeah, it's just a totally one-sided affair. 17 inside 50s to 4. They had the ball in a string. The Saints didn't give it up too often. When they got it forward, generally they kicked the goals. 11 scoring shots from 17 inside 50s. It's a big number. Brett Ratton would be absolutely thrilled with where his side is currently placed.
3 goals to Hind and to King. 2 goals to Battle. He too could have kicked the third late. Butler again, a multiple goal kicker. And Gresham, 23 disposals, 2 goals, 8 inside 50s. Jack Billings, another 19 disposals. Hopefully that's not a serious injury for Paddy Ryder, but maybe just a bit of leather poisoning. All those hit-outs.
Yeah, worry about your ruckman with an ice pack on his palming hand. But look, it's their highest score for the year, St Kilda. It was the complete performance. Brett Ratton would be happy to say, OK, you know what, we're in good order. Let's not get carried away. There's better opposition than we're sitting here at right now coming at us in the next few weeks, but we get through this one. Hopefully Paddy Ryder's OK, relatively healthy. Being long coming back. Got a really good game plan in order, got tools that are on fire, got speed everywhere. I just think their game plan is embedded in this group. How far it takes them, who knows? We don't have to worry about that right now, but as you can see, they're one happy camp.
Yeah, and that's part and parcel of success in this season, probably every season. But when you're living in a hub, when you're away from home for a long, long period of time, I mean, you get obvious joy from wins, but if you're a good group, a happy group, where you can cope with the losses and move on to your next victory. Zach Jones, if he pleased, he's got that one under the belt, going up against the opposition for the first time. Always a challenge. He struggled early, but he finished up with a pretty handy game, 21 touches.
Yeah.
But 9 score involvements was the big number for his return.
Yeah, it is, and 14 contested possessions is a PB for Zach. So everything's in good order.
Yeah.
There isn't a part of their game plan that was exposed today, but as we said, it's the challenge of being able to replicate this week after week and then see how that goes when it's under real adversity against one of the top 4, top 8 type teams.
So, as we said, they had a whole heap of goal kickers, and Tim Membry wasn't even one of them. This time last year, he was almost their go-to man. He's just part of the machine. And when you're building towards the premierships, each player just has to become a cog in the wheel. And he'll have his moments.
Let's head down to Alistair Lynch with the former Swan, now playing for the team he grew up barracking for.
Thanks, Hutto. Zach, after half a dozen years at the Sydney Swans, must be a bit of a relief to get that one out of the road.
Yeah, I think it is. I was a little bit nervous coming up for this week, knowing that they were going to come out and probably hit me a fair bit and get into me, but it was a good hit out. We always know they're going to be good hit outs against Sydney. They're a quality side, so we knew it was coming.
And they threw everything at you in the third quarter, and you really struggled to get the ball out of your defensive 50. What was the message at three-quarter time?
Yeah, I think it's that we held them off. They didn't score in that period. We had opportunities, and we didn't capitalise on our contests in that third period. So we knew in the fourth quarter we had to come out and try and hit back and really test them.
And how happy would you be get through the last couple of weeks? You had the back-to-back trips to the Adelaide Oval, a couple of good wins over there, and then this one. You must be enjoying Noosa life. Yeah,
it's very good. I think it's made us all more connective and made an opportunity for us to really bond together and build a relationship. And I think every club's going through the same thing of having to travel during the day to games. So we're not the only ones that are travelling, and so we understand that we have to do this. Yeah, congratulations on a great performance yourself and a good win. Well done. Thanks, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, outstanding. Zach Jones, as we said, 21 disposals and a goal. And always nice to beat your old club.
Yeah, he'll be absolutely wrapped to get off the ground with 4 points and to have that experience over and done with.
What about the Ratton influence on this group?
Well, it's hard to know, isn't it, because we're on the outside, but from what we're seeing, it's profound. I mean, he's getting lots of positive feedback publicly from his playing group, but he's clearly a man who's a better coach now than when he was at Carlton, and that's just evolution and experience.
And I think as a secondary part to that, to hand-pick players that can come in and play a specific role. Zach Jones, you're coming in to do this.
Yep.
Brad Hill, we know what you are. You do that. It goes deeper than that. I mean, Paddy Ryder, to have the effect that he's had in tandem with Marshall, but not lose Marshall or his influence, whether it be forward of the ball. Yeah, to complement. I just think every lever they've pulled has worked in the off-season.
So the Saints jump to third for now, at least, with a 53-point win over the Swans. They're certainly very happy at St Kilda. Let's head back to Kath Loughnan.
Thank you, Hutto. What a time to be a Saints fan. 3 wins on the trot and back in the top 4. Brad Johnson, Jordan